over there.
Yeah, so I actually was fortunate enough to meet Mr. Kessler once and tour around in that Suburban. I was fortunate enough build one of the first custom homes on Darby over there back when I was a young man, much younger than I am now, and a newbie in the business. And he never treated me that way. Always treated me with respect. We were building a half a dozen custom homes at the time, and said, okay, yeah, we'll work together. We'll help you out, and they helped me through the process on that end of it. And I often think of that when I drive by there and think of him. I get a little bit of chills thinking about it.
Well, he would have. There's no doubt he would have liked you because you guys have a lot in common. The Yankee part, he loved dealing with.
We didn't do that though. Let's be honest. We very quickly decided we would not talk about Jersey and New York.
Yes,
we decided that was
but
not.
Neither of you could hide it, and that's a good thing. In Charlottesville, every third person you run into has northern roots, and so. But I'm sure he appreciated more than anything your work ethic, because that's what you bring to the table. Keith, you always have. You're an honest man, hardworking man, and that's exactly the DNA that Frank Kessler.
So what are you doing the rest of the day? Because you can follow me around, keep on telling me that. Steal Jerry.
I know you.
Quote.
I've seen you.
I've seen Jerry's quote.
Kevin Higgins watching the program. Frank's nickname, I think he says, was Papa Bear. Can you ask Jeff where that name came from?
It was really just the bear, and there's a lot of legendary stories around the name the Bear, but when Frank was in his college days and just out of college, he had a temper. I guess he always had a bit of a temper, but he got into a lot of fights. And the first thing that he would do when he got into a fight is that shirt came off. And let me tell you something, it looked like an absolute grizzly bear coming at you. And so he was well named, and the grandkids called him Grand Bear and the Bear, but his closest friends would certainly, if they saw him back in the day, would say, "What's up, Bear?"
So I often wonder, you take a look at Forest Lakes and you take a look at Glenmore, and these were purely visionary projects on it, and how, the process was much easier back then, right? And I think, could you actually reproduce them today? And I'm not so sure about that. Could you actually reproduce, could Mr. Kessler...
I mean, Old Trail's a kind of an example of that.
Yeah, but Old Trail is what? 20 years in the making? Old Trail's been around for a while. I'm talking about today. It would be really hard to reproduce Glenmore today, I think.
When Frank was alive, his last few years, he died in 2003, he made it very clear, because of the policy of the county, which is mostly a good policy, which is to maximize density in the growth area in order to preserve the rural area. Okay, so that makes sense as a theme, but as a result of that, all the projects that are being approved today are all interconnected with alley roads and kind of a mishmash of product. There's a lot of high-density stuff in there, and so what Frank was able to do is he caught on to the tail end of those two projects. He believed in the cul-de-sac, and today's growth plan does not. They want everything interconnected, and so it's really interesting. To answer your question, there's no chance you could get private roads approved today.
Yeah, sure.
There's no chance. Mm-hmm. There's no chance you could get a gatehouse, security gate. No chance, and then no chance with 3/4 of an acre home site on a cul-de-sac. You can't. None of that's being approved.
Not in this area, anyway.
No.
Not in this area. So that's kind of why, if you take a look at what's active in Glenmore right now, let's talk